I swear, this is not supposed to be a cleaning channel. They can't deny this car's gotten pretty dang dirty since last it was on camera. And much like the last video that this one was the subject of, I kind of got something going on this Friday, so I need it to look fancy and nice and clean. It can't look all jacked up and dirty. But I promise, I'll do something a little more than just clean the car. There's going to be a little bit of tech in here, even if it's real minor. Because after all, this is Vintage Adventurer Drives, not Vintage Adventurer Cleans. Or should it be Vintage Adventurer Cats? You never want to talk when you're on camera, do you, Cat? You just want to get loved on. Now, of course, the biggest thing that this car needs to look pretty again is a good old-fashioned Comet wash. Y'all have seen this before. It's been done 100 times. I'm not going to bother to show you what's going on here. I'll just give you a little quick rundown as to how different the car is going to look. So first off, this right here is what my fenders both looked like. It's just real, all kinds of yellowing going on here. You got kind of that rustic look popping through. This paint's terrible. This car really needs to get repainted. You can see it's all chipping away here. But I'll run over to the other side where I've already Comet washed and I'll show you the difference. Now you see how white this panel is? It even feels halfway smooth right through here. The Comet wash does wonders. It'll turn your paint back halfway to its original color. It'll get rid of any of the rustic particles, any of the dirt and grime that gets stuck in this crappy paint. It works well. If your paint's even halfway decent, this is worthwhile. Now, remember, the look of your wheels and tires makes a huge difference in the overall look of the car. So, you always want to make sure your wheels are clean, and if you have some good old tire shine, which this stuff works really, really well, it makes these things pop. So, that's what I'm gonna do. Yeah, look at that. What a difference it makes. Now, I've been saying for like a year that eventually I'm going to change out the slotted mags on the back of this thing for some steel wheels. I just have not laid down the money. I have plenty enough to purchase said wheels. They're going to be a 15x8 that look just like the stock wheels. I just haven't brought myself to actually spend the money yet. So, when I do, they're going to be black, and this thing is going to look spiffy because I've always liked the look of this car with black wheels and the raised white letter tires with a little bit of tire shine. Looks awesome. So it's a few hours later because I'm rather lazy. But look at that. Hey, come on. You can't deny. That's looking pretty spiffy. Yeah. But I'm going to move this car on over there to its normal spot, and I have some ignition stuff to mess with. Let's see if she'll fire. Yeah. She ain't all cammed up like she used to be. But then again, she's a much better driver. So this car has a weird ignition issue where you'll be going down the road. If you give it a little bit too much gas, it'll start pop, and just spitting and farting. Sometimes it'll do it at light throttle, just cruising. It's real weird. I have a couple ideas of what it might be, and I'll just kind of run y'all through my diagnosis after I get it back to its normal spot. And it cools back down because it's still hot outside. Alright, first things first, I got the cap off of here, and I don't know how well y'all can see, but all these terminals have quite a bit of corrosion on them right on the leading edge. There's a corresponding spot right here on the tip of the rotor. Y'all ain't going to be able to see that. But what I'm curious of is to see how bad this set of points is, because it's been a while since those have been touched. So I'm going to get this cap off real quick and get to checking on those points. So I got the points up on the cam lobe for the, on the distributor, so that way they're opened up a little bit. Of course, camera doesn't like to focus on this kind of stuff, but you can see just barely. They are open, that's as far as they go. So I'm going to clean these things up real quick, just use like a dollar bill to clean them up. And then I'm going to get out my dwell meter to check, because that doesn't look like it's quite enough gap. It may be, and I'm just looking at it wrong, because I have kind of gotten used to 4-cylinder Pinto that uses a ton of gap. But we'll give this thing a little check and go from there. So here's the dollar bill trick for you. I literally just grabbed a dollar bill, I stuck it in the points, you just kind of rub it up and down, and as you pull it out, you'll see that there's some nastiness there. So this kind of polishes that face and gets rid of all of the gunk and goo and grease that collects in those points as they run. So I'm going to finish this up. This was just my first little pass, and then I'll check back with y'all whenever I hook up my dwell meter onto this thing and set my points gap using that. Alright, so I'm reusing the old rotor as well as the cap. I just took my dollar bill and I, kind of polished up both of those things as well. So I'm going to put this back together, hook up the dwell meter, and then grab the correct Allen wrench so that way I can actually, fiddle with this. So everything's hooked up and ready. It's at a point where I can reach and fire this thing up. Don't forget that you have this kind of stuff on your crankshaft. Yeah, I foobarred that one. Take two! Alright, so the dwell is a little too much, so I'm going to turn this in a little bit. And as I turn it in, you can see the dwell goes up. I want that dwell to be 30, so I'm going to turn this back out like so. And you can see the dwell's coming back into position. It's getting closer and closer to 30. Engine, the RPM's picking up. And there's my 30. So you may be wondering why it is that engine RPM picked up when the dwell came up. Well, what that does is it actually affects your base timing. So when you have more dwell, the points open later, which retards your base timing. You put it back to correct, and now my timing's back to the 15 degrees that I would have set it out. Before, it was sitting around 11 or so, because that was at 38. Now it's at 30, so each 2 degrees of dwell is 1 degree of timing. So with that, this thing should run a little bit better now. I'm going to get it back together, kill it, put the air cleaner back on, take my stuff off, and we'll take it for a test drive. Whee! Yeah, she's a handsome car. Alright, this is going to be the scenario where this thing was popping and farting and not wanting to accelerate. Up a hill trying to gain